right before my boards, I had lost aspects of memory. I couldn't really remember history or a lot of the things that we'd done. Somehow developed this freak brain virus. Like I woke up one day, I was trying to study for this Hindi test, and I was like, I can't see anything. Basically, I lost my eyesight.
Hi guys, welcome back to the podcast. Today we have Avanti Nagral.
Hello.
I say hi to her too.
Hello.
She is a singer, musician, content creator, and like a YouTube god because like she has so many videos on YouTube, and has a lot of views also. Because I was watching everything yesterday. I watched stuff before, but yesterday I took a deep dive.
You should
And
quiz him.
And the array of interests is like insane. It's one moment it's like what it's like to have sex. One moment it's like how to get into Harvard. Third moment it is like
Yeah, she lost her virginity. Then she went to college.
one second she
Other way
It's
around.
life. Sorry, my bad.
1 second she's talking to her sweet grandmom. The next second she's breaking up or getting broken up and crying. So it's like there's a lot. Which
It's a variety show.
Yeah.
You know.
and there's like so many recognizable faces from like different parts of Indian YouTube. It's a lot of fun to watch.
How you
And music.
Yes.
How you liking Cochin, dude?
Dude, I like Cochin a lot. It's a vibe. It's so green.
It's so great.
It's so green. That's your favorite part?
Yeah.
The greenery?
The greenery.
Do you want to tell us why you're here?
I'm here for a shoot. I've been doing this project where I'm doing 50 different songs in 50 different languages from different
nice.
regions of India, different parts of the world. So if I wanted to do Malayalam, I figured might as well come to the heartland, you know?
Could have gone to Dubai also.
Yeah, to be fair. Or anywhere in the Gulf.
That's fair. That's fair. or Russia.
Yeah, Russia.
You know they have a association in Russia.
It's called the All Moscow Malayali Association. But it
Amma.
stands for
But that's there everywhere.
Amma.
Amma is there
Hey.
everywhere.
They
Really?
should make it
Yeah.
Ammama, you know, just like add in.
How can Amma be everywhere? M is Moscow,
In
right?
Massachusetts.
all Massachusetts
Oh,
Malayali.
Massachusetts. I'm
That's a
from
mouthful.
Massachusetts originally, so maybe
Oh, really?
I've been part of this the whole time.
Oh wow.
So wait, you're not like Indian.
I mean, I am Indian, obviously, but I was born in the U.S. I lived there till I was 9-ish, 10-ish, and then I
Okay.
moved to India. I spent every summer there. This is why my accent never went away.
This is
I was
so-
gonna ask you that, but
Yeah,
So
no,
I
it's
have-
fine. I can offer.
I realized that when people go to when Indians go to the US, we develop like an accent. But when
Yeah.
white people come here, they don't develop an accent.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
fuck, I never thought about this.
Well, I think it depends on. So for me, this is what my English sounds like, regardless of the country I'm in. But when I speak in Hindi, for example, or if I learned Malayalam, I would have a very different personality in each language. Like in Hindi, because when I moved here, I wanted to make sure my Hindi was proper because I used to sound like a fucking firang. But now I make sure like ucharan and all the things, the pronunciation is proper. And with this language project, I've been making sure that all the songs I'm singing, I'm really deep diving into the language. So I feel like I have different personalities in different languages. I feel like
50 different personalities.
50 different
That's a lot of
personalities,
personalities.
it's a variety show in
What's
all ways.
What's been the most difficult language so far?
I think so far it's been within Indian languages. It was Tamil initially because the way
Yeah.
they roll the R's. But I think after doing Tamil and Tulu, now Malayalam, Telugu, etc. has become easier because I can differentiate the sounds.
You're saying all of them are the same.
I'm not
Oh,
saying all,
all
of
of
them.
us
I'm
are
not saying-
Sambaritas.
North Indians saying all South Indian languages.
No,
are.
please. Here you have more coconut paste. There's differences.
Fair.
But I think the hardest non-Indian language that I've done so far has been Tibetan.
Oh, I saw that video.
Yeah, because it has a
Yeah.
lot of like nong sounds, Just like I'm learning how to make sounds with my mouth. That's basically what the last few months have been,
That's
Yeah.
That's a clickbait. Clickbait.
We're clipping this.
She's
Cut.
learning to make sounds with her mouth.
Nice.
Tibetan man teaches.
So
her
no,
how to
not a
make
lot of
sounds.
people know this, but Sharat also started off his career as a singer.
Ah.
Even I didn't know this.
So he used to like always sing in school and stuff. So can you
That's
can you
why
drop us a
really-
few?
Shut the fuck up, man.
He had to switch careers because it was going so well.
Oh damn.
Do you I remember reading this thing where it's like anybody like singing is one of those things. Like I thought it was something you were born with, but
Yeah.
apparently you can
Aw.
practice it.
Yeah, I believe that most of life is nurture,
So
right?
you're saying I could potentially sing like Michael Jackson or
I don't know if you can sing like Michael Jackson, but you can sing like Aryan.
oh
Whatever the
fair.
vibe is.
Damn.
You
But I
know?
feel like
Damn.
but I feel like it's harder to learn how to sing than it is to learn how to dance. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I just
Yeah,
feel
I guess
like
it
it's
depends
easier.
on what today's genres have become so fluid, right? Or a lot of things are acceptable in the realm of music that weren't, say, a few decades ago. Like mumble rap is a thing, right? And it's huge. Some could argue ASMR is musical. So there's so many things that can be categorized
Mm.
as music. There's a literal whenever you upload a song, let's say you're releasing an original song, you have hundreds of genres to choose from, and there's a whole subsection called noise.
Oh wow.
So there's so many things that are acceptable as music today, which is why I truly believe you can be a musician. But besides that, no, I actually know you have an interest in music, which is why I feel like
But what is it
we'll
hard? Do you
see.
think it's because of that? Do you think it's harder to be a musician today, or was it harder like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 50 years ago?
I think for different reasons, it's hard and easy. I think 50 years ago, there were very few channels of access,
Hmm.
and each of them had gatekeepers, right? So let's say you wanted to sing in a film, you had to know the person who was controlling that. Or even if you wanted an independent career, it was really hard because you had to know the right people. Today, anyone from any part of the world singing in any language has the democracy of the phone, right? And kind of can get themselves known, but because of that, there's so much saturation. It's really hard to make it as an artist, even if you are the most talented person in the
Yeah.
world. So, catch 22 either way, you know?
But I feel like as a content creator, like you've made it after you hit a certain number or a certain number of brand deals come in.
Do you feel that way?
I feel like yeah, like I feel like you can. That's like success as a content creator is when you can sustain it as a career for a
Fair.
certain degree of time. But what is that for a musician? Like, how do you know you've made it as a musician?
I think similarly, a lot of musicians feel that way. I think in my case, because I do both, it's hard to, say, oh, I've made it in one or the other. I think the problem is, at least for someone like me, my milestone keeps moving. So even if someone else might be like, "Oh, you've made it," I'm like, I actually don't think I have, right? And so I don't know if y'all feel that way and how you
No,
deal with
it's-
that.
No, I think that's
Yeah.
pretty much
fair.
how we think also because
Yeah.
if you keep a
I think I made
constant
it.
goal.
I
Well,
made it. I'm here doing a podcast.
I made it today morning.
I made it today morning. I made it today.
He was not that late today.
Yeah. It was just 15 minutes late.
But what? Okay, like what is the next goal for you both?
Oh, me both. Okay.
Oh wow. uh-huh.
Are you asking about them
As a
both together?
content-
No.
Oh.
As individuals, all together, like
Together we want to be friends.
Friends
But-
for life.
Friends for life.
What are my
Um,
next goals? I just want to travel and
Hmm.
blog. That's all.
Wow, you stole my
But
answer.
traveling can be like Muvatipura and
No, I want to travel like
Changanasheri.
Europe. I want to
Ah.
go to South America.
Okay.
A lot of the football destinations.
Yeah.
Basically.
So he has this, you know how you have the 50 different languages?
Yeah.
He has jerseys from different parts of the world
Yeah.
as a...
Avanti, if you're ever traveling and you want to buy me a jersey,
Oh,
I will
wow.
never say
I
no. Size
will-
L, by the way.
Size L? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll keep
And
it
don't
in
get me a
mind.
jersey I already have, so.
Wow.
You'll need to
So
send
go
me
through
a
the
picture of your
catalog.
collection. Yeah, exactly.
Just
You should have a
text me.
page just for your jerseys.
Yeah. That's a
And then
great
every
idea.
time
That's
someone
actually a
wants to
great
get you a
idea.
gift on your birthday, just send them like random jerseys like, constantly, so that's all they're
Dude,
seeing in
he's
their
become
feed.
so shameless. He now puts up random stories on Instagram asking his followers, "Does
Hey,
anyone
anyone
want
want to buy me this?
And the
Did,
follow
has anyone done it?
one girl messaged saying, "How much is it?" So I said, "Why are you asking me? So like you'll buy me." She's like, "No, but how much is it?" I said, "It's $100." She's like, "If it's 50 pounds, I'll buy you." I said, "I can always find something for 50 pounds."
What are your next?
I want to start a business.
Hmm.
What business? I don't know yet.
You just want to be a CEO.
None of your business.
Damn.
But I want to start some sort of business.
You want to be a CEO.
I feel like I'm already CEO of this podcast.
No.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm still like dabbling with different ideas and
Okay.
Let's
Avanti,
see what
what is
sticks.
That's really exciting.
what is yours, Avanti?
What is my next goal?
Yeah.
I feel like my general goal is, I know you said there's a lot of variety, but the core is, am I using my voice? Meaning through the medium of music or conversation or trying to amplify voices and spaces that I think matter. So long as I'm doing that, I'm happy. I do have ambitions. I similarly have startup ambitions, nonprofit ambitions. We have built a studio space in Bombay that is now up and running, and longer term want to build that into many things. But I have learned, and I don't know if y'all feel this way, especially in this more ambiguous world, you can have many goals and then other things come in the way for those specific goals. So for me, I'm like, am I doing something that feels purposeful, mission driven? Great. And then the specifics will fall into place, you know?
So what is that? Like, can you name one of those things now? Like, what is this? What is it? What are one of those things which, like, what is?
Well, I think maybe let's take this year, right? Since we're in 2024. I one day, literally, this language thing you were talking about, I woke up one day and I was like, let me do this, because it's always been a dream of mine to learn 100 different songs in 100 different languages. It's just, I know that people connect really deeply with their sense of culture and identity through language, and they feel seen and heard. And unlike maybe y'all feel this way who have a strong identity, my grandparents are from 4 different parts of India, very different, like Punjab, Jammu, Maharashtra, Karnataka. So I've never felt this, oh, I'm Mallu or I'm Punjabi or I'm whatever. And I've always really wanted to learn about different parts of India through some sort of a lens, right? And some people do that through food. To me, I wanted to use music as that lens. And as a result, it's also been learning about the fashion and the textiles and so many other things. And this project has taken off in ways bigger than I could imagine. We've had a lot of interest from tourism boards globally, from some entities that want to, we might do tours with, things like that. So I'm excited to kind of continue to explore what culture means in a way that feels respectful. And to use, I have a lot of music releases coming up and a bunch of other things. So we'll see how this, because the part of it is you can plan for a lot of things and then some things happen, some don't. And you kind of just have to keep innovating, keep iterating, and, But what I like about at least the worlds that we're in is you can have these projects. Like, I'm sure this podcast feels really meaningful as an anchor, right? It's like something that anchors you, and then everything else you keep doing,
Yeah.
So there is one avenue, like, I wanted to discuss with both of you. Both of you have made videos with your grandmothers.
Yes.
Like, and recently
can't make anymore.
not anymore. Rip.
All those views.
All those views gone for good. I think you should start re-uploading.
It's only me now.
It's the only way now. Keep her memory
Add on a
going.
filter.
So recently, this dude asked me, like, "Hey, so your parents and your family understands what you do?" I was like, "Yeah, they understand that we're creators." No, and then he was like, "No, do they understand what you do when the camera's on?" And I was like, "Yeah." So there are, and then we were discussing, like, about how in some videos, like, a lot of people, like, there was a trend after a point where people were just making videos of their grandparents. Hey, react to this, react to that.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, Amma, do this, acha, do this. And the grandparents like, yo,
What's
I'm
happening?
dying. I have stage 7 cancer. So, like, how do you guys, like,
That's
navigate?
only death, bro.
Yeah,
How do you guys, like,
there is
navigate
a stage
that?
7. How do you? I'm curious what that was like for you, because I can share when and why I started too.
I started for the views.
No, but it didn't start out with the views. You did it for
Yeah.
fun, and then
I
you
mean,
got the
clearly you
views.
have to have a
and then you got
clearly had a lot
addicted.
of, I had a lot of fun shooting with her.
Of
And I mean,
course.
not even shooting. I
Just-
had a
yeah.
lot of fun, and I would just hold my camera and it was just a lot of fun hanging out with her.
Yeah.
And she would say like the most insane things, which. Like, I think also it started because she would say the most insane things, but nobody would believe that she said this.
So then you're like,
So
I
then
need proof.
I need proof of this. So then I started recording, and then she didn't know I was recording and putting this up.
Yeah.
And then one day when she found out that, she was like, "Fuck! What the fuck is this? Like, what is going on? Why are my words being recorded?" But it was just out of fun.
Makes
It was never calculated or anything. It was just for the views.
Yeah. for the views. I think what happened for me was I've always grown up in a nuclear family, as in never lived with grandparents. But in 2020, basically, I graduated from college and I had to do my last semester online because the world state. So I decided to be in India because I wanted to spend more time with my grandparents. And lockdown hit, and then my grandpa passed away. And I'd always seen my grandparents as this unit, right? The grandparents. I'd never seen them kind of as individuals. And when he passed away, my aji, she lives close by to where I do. I didn't want her to feel lonely, and so we, tried to make sure at least once a week we would do something together. And so our form of connection at the time was, let's watch Marathi movies together, because she's Maharashtrian. And she would pick the movie every week, and I noticed she started picking movies with really interesting themes. It wasn't your classic old. It was like some of them had Game of Thrones references, some were about drug abuse, some were quite scandalous. I was like, wow, she's cool, you know. And then we watched something together, and her reaction to love scenes was always, "Ooh, I think they're gonna kiss," or you know.
Novelty is like
Views.
No. So I just thought it was just like very cool. All my grandparents were doctors.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah. So my parents already had that pressure, so our generation was saved. But I think it was always nice to know that if I randomly said a word or something about my body, which often we feel a lot of shame around in our culture, to them it's normal, right? Because they're used to dealing with bodies as literal bodies and every part of them. So one day, just for fun, I was like, Aji, do you want to watch something a little bit like hatke, a little, you know? And she's like, sure. So I had her watch the music videos of WAP and Anaconda,
Oh wow.
just to see what her reaction was. And then similarly, I like put my phone on the side. It was honestly just for a memory, just to see. I thought it would be her being like, oh, what are you showing me? And what I thought was just going to be a, you know, out there reaction turned into a conversation about objectification and bodies, and she had a really nuanced view on the fact that this is okay, but if no extreme is good, right? We shouldn't be in the extreme that like, oh my god, a woman's body shouldn't be seen. But if a woman's body is only being used for exhibition, then that's also wrong, right? And her point was, she's like, show me all the things with men like this, right? And it was really, I was thinking, I was like, Magic Mike, and besides that, I can't really think of too many,
Yeah.
right? So it turned into this kind of thing where instead of us watching movies together, we started having conversations, right? And we would anyway have conversations, but she really enjoyed doing them as programs. And now it's been fun. It's been a couple years, and she's starting to lose her memory quite actively. But whenever we sit down and do programs, which is not as often, I think she recognizes that people watch, and I'll show her the comments. She has really nice reactions to them, and I think she feels good about it, right? So I think when the camera's on, she knows that she kind of has to put her mind together, if that makes sense.
Got it.
So I filmed a bunch of stuff with her recently. Whether or not it's gonna go out is irrelevant, but it's more just the act of doing that together.
Yeah.
That's been really nice. I've gotten to know so much about her through
Yeah.
this whole. Like she's become a bestie, which is amazing, you know. And I feel like you, from the videos I've seen, had that relationship with your mama as well, you know.
Yeah.
Sure, maybe views, maybe this, but
Views,
it's no, but I feel like it's beyond that, right? It's also someone's. If by that logic, we should have everybody who's there.
bro, so
But-
many people started after.
Bro, oh my god.
There were so many people, but I see them as. I mean, right now I see them as like good memories. Like you know,
Exactly.
like a lot of people have like memories and they can just think about them
Yeah.
in their heads, but like I
But
can
to
memories
see
are
to
there,
have it,
yeah.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's been nice, and it was cool because once I knew she was comfortable on camera, I was able to bring her to, like, she's done a cameo in one of my music videos,
Oh,
and
wow.
bringing her on set for that, she was like, I remember I was like, oh, someone's gonna do your makeup, and she was like, no, but she actually enjoyed someone putting lipstick on her, you know. So it was nice to share in that experience. She's been to a few shows of mine, but to see the backstage of that, so it's nice to share that aspect of your life with your grandparents. And for, you know, my grandparents, for the longest time, they're like, are you interested in medicine? And now understanding that there's worlds beyond that, it's cool to see.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Would you do this with your grandparents? Like, have you ever
Man,
considered?
I have one living grandparent. And if he's on camera, I'm sure. Like, I can't. So it's my nana who's alive, and he was very strict with us growing up. Okay, like we were always scared of him, and so that fear's still there in me.
Yeah.
Because I mean, obviously our relationship has grown since, and now he literally calls me and he chats with me. He asks me about my life plans and stuff. But that fear to ask him something scandalous is still there.
Yeah.
So I doubt I'd be able to put up
Like,
any
what, do you think he'll
videos.
get mad or?
He won't get mad. I'm just scared of the things he'll say.
Oh,
That's
Because it's
valid.
a no filter conversation
Yeah,
always.
Of
And
course.
you know how grandparents aren't the most How do I say?
PC.
Yeah.
Honestly, I love that though. It's cool that the older you get, you're just
Yeah.
like balls. I will just say whatever.
You don't have to, yeah.
You know.
No, because so the first time I ever heard someone say MCBC was him,
Oh,
and I
Oh,
was like,
MCBC.
MCBC is a rapper.
so you know,
BC stand.
that's the kind of MC stand. So that's the kind of no filter he has. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just I can't.
You can. It's sometimes nice to just like have those conversations
Yeah.
in general, though, whether or not they're documented.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Your
100%.
show should be called No Filter Nana.
No filter,
Ah,
Nana.
No filter,
Damn.
Nana. That's
That actually
where
sounds
does
good.
your Nana live?
So he's in Gwalior, which is in Madhya Pradesh. So
Yeah.
my mom's from there. But honestly, like he's honestly the cutest. Like he's still
Aw.
so particular about how he looks, and he's
Yeah.
touch wood, he's almost 90 now, 91. And it's so I was just I think a couple of months ago I was in Gwalior, and he like every day he will sit down, he'll do face massages,
Aww.
he'll comb his hair, his clothes have to be ironed, so it's really like sweet.
That's
Like him
super
almost.
sweet.
But today.
Except it's a jersey, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have grandparents anymore. So.
Yeah, we lost all our grandparents in like the span of a year and a half.
Fahim just showed you guys the loser sign.
Yeah, guys,
you
we're
have-
showing this off camera.
You have all your grandparents?
You have two, bro.
No. For now.
No, I've seen your parents also
Yeah.
actively participate in stuff. I guess when you started, did they understand what you were doing, or they were like, "Let these boys do whatever," and then
I think they knew. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, they were pretty aware of.
I think it took them time. Like 2017 to 1920, they didn't fully understand. Then 2020 onwards, I feel like after COVID, and then everybody got into it, they were like,
Yeah.
this is.
No, I mean, they weren't very shocked or surprised with us recording stuff because we used to record stuff as kids and stuff.
Mm.
So, and like they used to always have video cameras, those fucking fat
the
ass.
camcorders? Yeah.
So they were not shocked or surprised by that. But like I feel like viewers on the internet really enjoy parents who are not comfortable being on camera because our parents are very comfortable. Like if you ask them, "Hey, when's the last time you had sex?" They'll probably say. But then the parents who react like, "Fuck, why? How dare you ask me that?"
Yeah,
That's what people
That's the
want.
reaction people want to watch. Like
I
Perhaps,
think
but
that's
I-
more relatable to
I think
the
that's relatable, but
general.
also it's cool to see parents like yours who are, because for a lot of people
Yeah.
that's aspirational.
yeah,
That's the
yeah,
parents
yeah.
they want to be, right?
Yeah,
You know.
How did your parents react to your career? Because you have like 2 degrees and
Yeah.
and you're making content. Have you ever gotten that from your parents? Like,
Not really. I think I was really clear with them that I wanted to do something in the creative space. Initially, I thought it was going to be primarily music, and then it, evolved.
sorry, what are your degrees in?
So one of them is in psychology and global health, and then the other one's in music and business.
Okay,
Nice.
that's 4 degrees: psychology, music,
It's
business,
yeah,
health,
Global.
global health. Sorry,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
bad.
It's
Globes.
variety show. You
Okay.
can just
And
Just
they
go
were
with it.
always cool with it. Like, was it ever?
So, basically, they've always been supportive of having passions kind of beyond studies, right? For a lot of people, it's like, okay, focus on that, then you can do anything else. They've always been supportive, and they exposed me to a lot as a kid, which is why I got active in a lot of things. And music has always been a huge part of my life. My dad plays the tabla. He used to actually teach tabla for many years when he was in the US as a way to make side income when he was early days of his startup. And I think given that my dad, he's on his 4th startup now, so he's been in that world for a long time, he understands risk. But I don't think he understood this world, and so it definitely took a while to convince. But I was pretty clear that I wanted to do something that was related to music and related to that world. Basically, I can give you the milestones or checkpoints in my life if that's useful. So, been learning music for many, many years. I've done Indian classical music. I've done Christian and gospel music. I went to a Christian high school, done a lot of theater, so a lot of Broadway style. And it had always been this huge part of my life. And I think the time I realized that it was one of the most important things was, I think I've told you the story before, but I grew up with a lot of physical health difficulties. And in each of them was actively aware of the privilege that I had, right? All my grandparents are doctors, I have easy access to care. Obviously, coming from the socioeconomic background that I come from, I didn't have to worry if my parents could pay for care, right? And I recognized that was a huge privilege. So I never took my health lightly, and I never took that ability and access. And when I was around 15, right before my boards, I somehow developed this freak brain virus that affected my optic nerve, and I lost my basically I lost my eyesight temporarily.
Oh my god.
Like I woke up one day, I was trying to study for this Hindi test, and I was like, I can't see anything. And you know how when you wake up really early, sometimes everything's groggy and blurry, and you're like, whatever. So I washed my face, went for a shower, and I was like,
You can't see anything.
I couldn't see anything, and I was like, what is happening? So I woke my parents up, and they were like, oh, just go back to sleep, it'll be fine. Then I
did you
called
find them?
my sorry.
How did you find
No,
them? Sorry.
Even
very
not our
valid,
parents.
very valid question. So my left eye was completely blacked out, and my right eye had like super blurry vision.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you could sort of make
Yeah,
out
yeah,
shapes.
yeah. Of course, of
Okay,
course.
okay.
So I called my grandfather, who happens to be an eye doctor, and I was like, "Yo, this is happening," and he's like, "Monitor it for the next hour. If it doesn't get better, then like immediately check yourself into a hospital." And over the course of the next hour, my eyeball had slightly bulged from the socket. I couldn't handle any form of light, sunlight, tube light. Like I just had blanket over my head. So I immediately was rushed to the hospital and was there for a few weeks with all these doctors trying to figure out what the heck is wrong, right? Eventually they diagnosed it as a brain virus, and for anyone interested in biology, it was affecting my optic nerve pathway, meaning so it's the demyelination of the tissue. What that basically means is your neurons have this covering called the myelin sheath, kind of like electrical wires have a plastic coat covering. So that was removed. Therefore, it was blurry, but that also meant that it could come back. So eventually it did come back. But in all of this, the whole point was when I came back from the hospital, I remember obsessively trying to study because I felt like I had lost aspects of memory. I couldn't really remember history or a lot of the things that we'd done. And so I remember literally sitting and trying to do math. And it wasn't happening. And I broke down because at that point, a lot of my identity had been wrapped up in being a good student and being really lauded for that, you know? My parents, society around me. And I was like, wait, what am I if not this? And the only thing that really got me through that period was music. Because like I was like, this is what I know,
Yeah.
you know? And so from then on, I was like, it has to be a part of my life. I don't care in what way. And then at that point, I thought, okay, I recognize how healing it is. So there's a lot of things in music therapy or just in general, right? Like I saw the power of music, if that makes sense. And then flash forward a few years, basically, I got into college, and colleges in the US are fairly comfortable with you taking gap years. Now, because of COVID, a lot of
Yeah.
people take gap years, right? But and since I'd gotten into Harvard, a lot of people were very curious as to why I was not going immediately, right? Like a lot of people are like, oh, did you not get in, blah, blah, blah. But to be honest, I really wanted to see what does it mean to be in a creative career. So I'd been given this lead role in this theater show. It was a show called Agnes of God. It was like a 3-woman show, and I was playing Agnes, which was an acting and singing role. And I was like, I'm 17. I'm never going to be this responsibility free in life. Let me just explore this and see what it's like, right? So I did that. I did a bunch of things, but this play was really like a huge pivotal moment because what happened was a few days before our opening night, we were rehearsing and we get a call from some person saying that they'd like to file an FIR against us.
Why?
So we were very confused, right? We thought it's a prank call. Like, who just randomly calls people practicing for a play being like, I'm filing an FIR against you, right? It was this random dude who wanted money, fame, power, all of the above, and was using us as a scapegoat. And he used a religious angle. He used a lot of different things. But it got out of hand. Like we were contacted by the home ministry. We were at lawyers' offices, police stations. Our opening night had 80 policemen in the audience to make sure no riots broke out. We were banned from all Christian donor-backed venues. It was intense, and it was like one of those moments where I was like, "What the hell is happening?" Right? Because English theater in India, no one gives a shit about.
Yeah.
Our opening night also had 15,000 people show up.
Oh wow.
Oh my
Because
God.
people were like,
Massive.
what in the world is in this play, right? And it touched upon themes like child abuse and mental health. And it's actually a really well known story.
Wait, is it related to the church? Like,
So I was playing a nun. So I was playing Agnes.
Oh.
So you can understand why this person felt like they had runway, right? But for context, this play or the story has been converted into a movie that's won the Oscars. It's like a well-known thing. But this guy was taking everything from this India's not ready for this to this is blasphemy to this is
Basically, he was trying anything.
he was trying anything and
Yeah.
everything, including we had promo photos, right, for the play, and I was wearing a nun's habit. He distorted them to make it look like I was pregnant. And I had like just turned 18 at that point. So it was very hectic to be a part
Deal
of
with
this
it,
and
yeah.
deal with. But it taught me the power of art, right? And how powerful it can be. Because it affects you emotionally, right? It's so many reasons. But I think for me, that was the moment where I was like, oh wow, I would love to be an artist, and whatever that means, right? I mean, at the time, content wasn't a big thing in my mind, or to see what that was like, because you have so much. It's not about the power, but you have the ability to make a statement or like use your voice in so many ways, right? So that was kind of those are the two things that made me realize. But bringing it back to the parents, essentially I was like, okay, this is my realization. I want to be an artist. And so I thought like, okay, at the time I thought, okay, I'll be a musician or whatever that means, performing artist. And I'll combine all of these other things I care about, health, education. Like I still really wanted to go to college. I still wanted to study all these things. I remember sitting my parents down and being like, yeah, so this is what I want to do. And they're like, great, you know? Like, what in the world does that mean?
Yeah.
Are they more accepting of it now?
So I think most parents or most people who care about you, they care about your well-being, generally
Yeah.
speaking, right? And so for a lot of Indian parents, that often means stability and security, which is why you'll see the trope of, oh, you should do these stable paths because it'll give you money, it's known, all of those
It's
things.
tried and tested.
It's tried and tested. You know, my dad being an entrepreneur obviously understood risk, but this was completely out of the realm of his understanding. So I was like, okay, what will my dad understand?
In which year did you start?
So I started releasing music in 2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But this was all in 2015, 2016. So I was building the infrastructure and doing all of that. But yeah, essentially at that point I was like clear. I was like, I'm still going to college, but I'm working toward this being what I want to do. So I made a business plan and I presented it to my parents because I knew that that's the only thing that was that was my dad's language, right? You have to know what they would understand. And I think for a lot of people, they think, especially creative careers, they think, oh, you're a dancer, you just do this. You're a singer, you go, right? They don't realize, or even you're a creator, you just hold your phone and that's about it, right? They don't see all the work that goes into it behind the scenes, the back end, let alone the actual physical craft work that goes into it or editing or any of those things. But the business hustle that you have to have, the mental stamina, just there's so much. I mean, y'all know what it's like, and I'm curious how I have many questions about how you deal with it, but it's been an interesting journey to build in front of the public eye, right? Because as a creator, as an artist, everyone sees your successes and your failures, and now the average person understands, what does engagement mean? What does this mean? What does that mean? So sometimes other people have more hawk eyes on whether something's successful or not, even more than you do, right? And I feel like if you want to be in this long term, you can't be like, oh, this video didn't do well, my life is over. It has to be a longer term game. Are you working towards something in general, right? And so it's interesting. It's difficult, but it's also easy at the same time. Like, I think there's just so much beauty in it, right? When you have agency over something, when you're able to live your life on your own terms, it comes with so many perks, but it also comes with a lot of responsibility that people don't see. So, long story short, they are now supportive. I think the parts which were difficult were, for example, when I started talking about sex or sex education openly on the internet, right? I think they understood the importance of that because I'd spent many years offline at home trying to create a comfortable environment. I'm an older sister, I have a younger brother, and for me it's like I never wanted him to grow up in a world where he didn't feel comfortable. But I think initially my parents were like, okay, we understand why you talk about sex education, right? Because people don't understand consent, they don't understand all of these things, but why do you have to mention that you have had sex? And I understood their point, but I was like, hey, listen, I'm neither a doctor nor a professor, so I'm not just sitting here saying and espousing knowledge. it has to come from some place of relatability and authenticity, right? And it was this interesting transition where I knew that there were certain things I was talking about that made them a little bit uncomfortable initially, but I was like, hey, I'm sorry, but I'm comfortable making you uncomfortable because I recognize the larger impact. And then eventually, when they started to see people's responses and see the meaning it had for some people, things like that, then they were fully on board. But it's always a
It's a
fine line.
process,
It's
yeah.
a process and a fine line. Also because they're also naturally protective, right? I mean, you mentioned or you've seen Breakup, this, that, right? I've been fairly open and vulnerable about a lot of aspects of my life and
Yeah.
my emotions, and um, sometimes that comes with a lot. And so naturally, they're going to be protective and ask why you're sharing. But I know, for me, I would feel like I'm doing myself an injustice, and also since you're in the public eye in some way, doing others an injustice where it's like, oh, everything's happy.
Yeah.
No, life is complicated, right? There's roller coasters of emotions, and so if I'm dealing with something hard, sure, I obviously need to internally process, but I feel comfortable sharing because that's life. And yeah, I'm actually curious because I've seen in the couple of days I've been in Kochi, and I hung out with y'all a couple of days ago. It just feels like everyone in the city knows you. It's a small, or a lot of people in this city, and I'm curious what it feels like to be in maybe a smaller place, and because you might have actually had more limelight when you were starting out, right? Because everybody must have been like, who are these people?
Uh, I mean, I think we know everybody and everybody knows us because it's just a small place. So I
Hmm.
think initially, I think one of the reasons is in the space of content creation, there weren't that many people doing it here. So the ones who started early, people just tend to know them.
Fair.
First mover
And
advantage.
yeah, and also in Kerala at least, like the space of like Mollywood, which is the movies,
Yeah.
the content creation, the music, it's all like everybody knows everybody some way or the other. I'm assuming a content creator in Bombay is not just going to know like Ranveer Singh. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there are
Yeah.
some people, but
Of
like
course.
not everybody. But here, the world is very small. Like the places you hang out, the places you might, travel, all those are very small. So, in that way, you get to know a lot of people, which is like an advantage because, like,
Yeah.
when people,
Accesses.
yeah, access is easier.
Access easier. Which, yeah.
Sorry,
But
what about for you? Like coming from a corporate space.
oh my
Yeah.
god, dude! I don't think my parents still know that this is something that I'm doing like full time as such.
Hmm.
So
Now
I'm
that
a
they're
corporate
watching
lawyer.
this, they will know.
They're not watching this. I'm a practicing corporate lawyer, and switching over to content creation, I think I also only digested the fact about in 2022.
Hmm.
I was still fighting it. I was like, no, I'm not gonna like do this full time. And it also came from a place of, I think the kind of content I was making back then didn't really give me anything, like stimulation wise. Like I
Yeah.
wasn't being stimulated, but whereas being in the corporate space, I was getting that intellectual stimulation, right?
I know what you
And
mean.
I've always been someone who's liked to study, who's liked to do research, who wants to constantly be like learning. So I was like, this is not for me. I'm
Yeah.
doing it because I also really like the business aspect of it, which is what you were mentioning,
Same.
right? So that's why I started doing it. And I also saw it as a good, like, source of just pocket money.
Yeah.
I was like, I might as well, why not? It's not taking too much of my time. And then I realized how much work goes into doing this. It's a full time job.
Oh,
It's not a
absolutely.
9 to 5 because it's a 9 to 9,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you're constantly working. Um, and then that's when I was like, okay, I can actually apply my mind to this and gain what I'm really lacking in other terms. And for instance, like you mentioned, you have more agency, right? You have
Yeah.
more control over your own schedule, which I was lacking when I was a full time lawyer. I had to report to someone, I had to ask for leave, and all of that didn't sit well with me after a point.
Yeah.
And that's when I diverted into this. But the whole, I didn't feel ashamed sort of doing this, but it was a bit of like, I mean,
I'm better than this.
yeah, basically.
Yeah, I'm curious how you feel with maybe your peers in the corporate world or other people,
Yeah.
because I know there's a lot of people who think, oh, content creation,
Yeah.
and the word influencer now has this
Negative
particular and negative
connotation.
connotation,
Yeah.
right? And especially it's very refreshing to hear that, especially someone who's been in that academic world.
Yeah.
And I remember even when I was at Harvard, a lot of people, even when I was doing this dual program at Berkeley, they'd be like, "Oh, how's your music stuff?" But saying it with a little bit of like, "Oh,
Yeah.
we're better than,"
No, because I actually felt that way when I was a lawyer, right? Like, because
Yeah.
in 2019, I remember someone in my office was playing this video from Instagram, and I was like, I recognize that laugh,
Yeah.
and it was him.
Oh.
And I was like, oh my god, is this what he's doing now? And then
Yeah.
I felt really happy because, I mean, I've known him for a while, and I knew that anything corporate wouldn't be his game.
Yeah.
And so I was happy that he finally found it. But if I see myself in his shoes, I'd be like, no, this is just like, I have grown up to do better things, so I wouldn't do this. Yeah, I'm gonna own up to it. I did
Yeah,
look
yeah.
down upon this profession, but now it's
Now you're sitting on a podcast room next to me. So
Yeah.
who won, huh?
no.
Sue!
I didn't look down upon you. I said the profession. I was very happy that you actually liked what you were doing.
Shit.
So, but yeah, no, it was very hard to come to terms with it. But
Yeah.
now, like, I understand and I actually applaud the people who are doing this like full time, because
Oh,
just
absolutely.
the fact that you're going through so many cycles, there's every day is different.
Yeah.
To deal with that, to still have a sane mind is not easy, and it comes because I was just telling them the other day that ever since I've sort of gone freelance, and the mental
The chaos.
chaos is it's insane. It's very hard to deal with.
Yeah.
But
I think
Comfortable.
also, I think also to your point though, for a lot of people who think, who maybe have a slightly higher horse
yeah,
viewpoint toward it, it's not just the work that goes into it, because that's insane. People don't realize the impact that it can have.
yeah,
Right? And it doesn't have to be, because there's also a lot of intellectual content, right? And you can make content, but what are the intellectuals doing when they're trying to escape from their life? They're scrolling,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Who's creating that?
They're watching me shake my
They're-
ass.
No, literally though. No, literally though. And people don't realize the amount of effort it takes to put yourself out there. The balls you have to have, the mental resilience you
Yeah.
have to have, and
I feel like what everyone thinks is I could do that if I had to.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, and then they
Yeah.
try
Exactly.
doing it and they
It's
realize
not easy.
No.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those things like, haha, anybody can do this. And then
Yeah.
I have had a lot of people who I know have tried, failed, decided to stop,
Yeah.
right, in music, in content and all of that, because it's one of those things where it's like, oh, we all have fun, and they're just putting themselves in a video having fun. They don't realize
Yeah.
what really goes
Yeah.
into that, right?
No, even just like smaller things like being able to stand in front of a camera. To say that you can do it, but to actually do it is so different. And
Absolutely.
because you don't. Also, the internet is not a very kind place, right?
No, it's not.
It's especially this podcast to me is like to be even back on the scene is I don't know why I do it.
Do you want to talk
Avanti,
about?
I cannot tell you how much hate I get for being a woman.
Really?
Really, honestly.
But you know our audience is like 55-45 men, women.
Yeah,
Which
but
is-
how many?
So it's
how
not
many?
just so it's not just the men who
But
hate
no,
you.
that
it's
just
the
shows
shows
you that-
comment versus how many women comment.
Yeah,
Exactly.
No, but it also it's still internalized misogyny. There might
Yeah,
still be
it is.
There's so many things.
I get hate for no reason, I feel sometimes.
What
And I'm
is
gonna get hate for saying that I get hate for no reason.
It was
but
really
okay.
so last to last time.
hateception?
Last time. So this mic was on that side,
Yeah.
and Fahim was sitting here, and Fahim adjusted the mic such that within the first 2 minutes of the podcast, her whole head was covered.
Like just my head.
just her
everything
head.
else is
Everything
fine.
covered by this, okay?
Nice.
Just the small
Just it was covered by this thing,
Yeah.
The end.
and
Perfectly encircling.
and it was like there for an hour,
Oh damn.
The entire podcast almost. Yeah.
and everyone was like, the comments were. They were rough. They were.
comments are like, this is a
But
good
I knew it
episode.
was coming. Like the minute we
Yeah.
realized that my face is covered, they're gonna like it.
How do you deal with hate?
I ignore it actually, honestly. I mean, unless I'm addressing it on the podcast.
You're like, this is my catharsis.
But I genuinely I feel like if you're not getting some amount of hate, you're not doing something well, because people love to hate on people who are successful.
Wait,
and who
what do
are-
you want now? They want to get hate or not?
No, I'm getting hate for a
You're
different
giving them mixed
reason.
signals.
No, I'm getting hate for a different reason.
Oh, okay.
How do y'all deal with it? Do you?
I don't get a
care?
lot of hate. I guess I'm not doing this.
No, you do get hit. You just don't see it.
Yeah, fair. But you know, it kills me a little bit inside.
Whoa,
Honestly.
whoa.
Every time.
He said, I don't care.
Yeah, I
No,
said
no,
I
no,
don't
no,
care,
no, not
but
that,
I'm
not that, not that, not
dying.
that, not that. No, like every time somebody asks, like, what do you do? And I have never rehearsed that answer. I just say influencer now.
Oh.
And I like, it kills me inside every time. I
Every
don't
time
know.
you say
Like,
it.
it's not a bad thing, but it's like, it hurts. It's like, hey, what do you do? Oh, I'm an influencer on Instagram.
But why
And
can't
then
you
I
say
go,
content creator?
I don't know. It
Hmm.
just doesn't come out of Malayalam. How do you say content creator in
Oh,
Malayalam?
Malayalam.
Like, okay, Nani, like,
How do you say influencer in Malayalam?
ഞാനൊരു influencer.
Wait,
God.
talking
Yeah,
about-
how do you introduce yourself to people? Like, do you say you're a singer? Like, what's your...
I usually say like singer, content creator, and then people will try to double click and understand what that means.
But
I
you're
feel like-
singer first.
I feel
and
like
then
Avanti is really good at setting context. Like all the videos I watched, like a person who's watching her for the first time in any video will understand who she is, which is something I wanted to
Oh.
learn.
Hmm.
So I was like, fuck, this is something I should do. Like any video you watch, and if that's the first video, you have some amount of context of who this person is.
That makes sense because in like his vlogs, like it's just fun.
It's just
yeah,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
and then you get to know the person as you watch more
Of
videos
course,
and you
of
binge
course.
watch and
But I mean, it's just different styles. A lot of people love that, right? Because a lot of people are like, oh, I just want to decompress, and that's what I
Mm.
want, and they voyeuristically
Yeah.
probably live through you, your friends. You know, it's a. I think every style has its place. I think honestly, part of that came from. I don't think I ever had that chip on my shoulder, but it came from knowing that I was surrounded by a lot of people who felt holier than thou. So I was like, I
Mm.
felt a need to explain myself. You know, I find myself needing to be like, oh, I'm a singer and content creator, and then like, oh, what content? I'm like, oh, music, but I also make videos about health and education and gender and like
Yeah.
yes, but why do I have to explain that, right?
Yeah.
Why do I just feel this need to
The
to,
pressure
to,
to, like,
to,
yeah.
to say all of these things? I think it's because again, like if someone describes you as an influencer, I feel really weird because A, of the negative connotation, but also if you think about the word, it has so much weight and responsibility.
influencer.
Right?
I like the word influencer. I don't know why it gets a negative.
Yeah, I think it's just because people associate it with they just associate it with specific things, but it's funny. My parents actually sat me down once. This is when I was starting to get traction and things, and friends of theirs started asking them, "Oh, what is she doing?" They're like, "What do we call you?" And I was like, Avanti. And they're like, no, your profession. You know? And they're like, oh, I was like, you can say singer. And they're like, yeah, but that feels incomplete. And also, just singer doesn't have as much respect and this and that. And I was like, fine, you can say content creator. And they're like, no one's going to understand what that means. I was like, okay, then what do you want from me? They're like, just some phrase. So we came up with this phrase, which is true. Because if you look at all aspects of what I do, including the business sides, but it feels very, I'll just say it. The phrase is media entrepreneur.
Oh.
Ooh,
Uh,
I
I'm
should
a
say
media
that.
entrepreneur.
Let's go.
I'm hooked.
She could
Changing my Instagram bio right now.
media entrepreneur. That's actually really good.
Because it's one of those things which sounds fancy enough and that people won't ask too many questions.
Yeah, they might be
right?
intimidated. They're like,
Yeah,
oh,
they're
I
like,
I don't know what that
"Ooh."
is.
They
I'm
won't
stupid.
pronounce the E word.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
So,
So I feel like, but honestly, it's sometimes when people ask what do you do and I don't feel like sharing, I'm just like I vibe, and they're like, what does that mean? You know.
Yeah.
But it's hard because do you feel, given a lot of your life is on the internet and part of that, do you feel like the person you are is different from the persona that people see, or are they similar?
Very different. At least for me.
Different?
Yeah.
for you, because you're not too like in your videos, right? Like you're behind the camera.
Stop attacking me.
No, so his format is more of him shooting a group of friends hanging
Yeah.
out, and we are, I feel like, our usual self in front of
for
the
you
camera.
guys, yeah.
But for him, obviously,
Yeah, for me
He's
it's different.
very,
Also,
very
it's different because for the stuff we do with it's with friends and family always.
Yeah.
People who watch it relate to it or aspire to be that in some way or form or other. So when they see us, like when they see me in reality, they see me as a friend.
Yeah, of
more than a
course.
person who's on the internet. So then they come with that like, oh fuck, I know you already.
Yeah.
But then they don't really know me because that's not who I actually am.
Yeah. The
Who are
So-
you actually?
Oh,
Yeah.
fucking
Ooh.
hell.
Ooh. But it was so funny because his videos are very high energy, fun,
Yeah.
right? So we were hanging out somewhere and someone walks up to him and then they're having a conversation and he goes like, you're not like how you are in your videos.
Yeah. So I'm like, what do you want me to do? Like jump on a table, jump on top
Yeah.
of you, smack you? I don't
we were
know.
we were at this house party once, and we were having like a little friend reunion. And this guy's like, oh, ha, ha, ha. He walks in, he's like fully energetic. He's like, aha, that's Sharan Nair. And he thought like he's going to be as energetic as he is.
Yeah.
Hey man, your content is really cringe. And then we all just
Yeah.
turned
Oh my
and
God.
we were all like, yo, leave. Shut the fuck up
Yeah.
and leave.
Yeah,
And
because he
people
would-
expect us to be like, yeah, come join us. But it's not always like that. Like,
Of course not. Of course not. And I mean, it is. Again, people don't understand it's part of your work. Yes, you're showcasing, right? It's not like you're gonna go to a lawyer and be like, "Hey, give me like write up a contract for me right now," right? Or maybe some
I mean, we
people
have
do.
done that to
we've done that to Shamali.
Y'all doing that to her is very different. The average person is not gonna be like, "Hey, Shamali,
Give contract.
give negotiate this for me right now."
That's actually
that's actually my relationship.
No, I mean, yeah, I know what you mean. I
The-
think
The number of times when some shit has gone down and I look at Shami like, what can we do about this?
is this legal?
It is insane because first of all, they expect lawyers to know every law out there,
of course.
and
And
I feel
trust
like
me,
it's
they
part
don't
of
know
the-
every law.
yeah, you cannot.
How can you? Your brain can't be a
Yeah, it's like it's an insane expectation to have from a person.
I don't know. If I was a lawyer, I would have known all the laws.
Damn.
I would have
Yeah.
just been different.
It's basic.
But that's just me. That's just me.
You're like, I would have put in the work.
yeah,
you know?
I would have put in the work.
But then, like, I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
So like this is just something we were talking about yesterday. So I was saying that because they're my like I do vlogs, I don't just like capturing the fun parts.
Yeah.
I like capturing the sad parts. I like capturing the not so nice parts.
Yeah.
And for example, my friend was in the hospital. Like he was hospitalized, so his wife was really worried. But I was vlogging there. But like we knew he was not going to die. Like it was just a small
Sure.
thing.
It's
Like,
not that deep.
yeah. So it was in that moment it was kind of tense. But then right now when we watch that vlog, we laugh because like everything worked
It
out.
was, yeah, of course.
I don't think a lot of Indian creators try to showcase that everything, like whatever vlogs I watched or whatever pieces of content I've seen on the internet, it's always like fun,
Very
fun,
sterile,
fun,
yeah.
fun, fun. And sterile, yeah. But with your content, like especially with the video where you speak about your breakup,
Yeah.
that was very real. So how did what was the process there? Like what was like, especially because the internet is not a kind place.
No, it's not. I had one of the darkest moments of my life after that came out. I can share, but for multiple reasons. Yeah.
And then I also the first comment, I don't know if you have pinned this or it just comes up as Same's comment saying
yeah.
So like how does
I definitely have not pinned that.
Oh, you're- so basically Same, who's a comedian, has commented saying, hey Avanti, don't feel so sad. Think of all the ad revenue you will get from this video.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So but like what was like how did that feel, like putting that?
Wait, did you say? Are you friends with him?
I know him socially, but I was just like, it felt like a little bit of an attack. Although because I know him, I
He's-
know that
he's
that's
like
not
that.
his intention.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But what he didn't realize, and many of the other people, there are a lot of people who made roast videos, There's people who launched their YouTube channels off of reacting to this video.
Oh my god.
Like people made roasts of reactions of roasts.
Wow.
Like it was some weird-ception. And it's funny because the biggest criticism was, you're monetizing your breakup. I'm like, you're monetizing mine.
Yeah.
Yo.
Like some people literally would be like, she's crying, let me lick peanut butter, this peanut butter coat, and I'm like, what is happening? Right? It was very strange, and I did it 0% to monetize. Basically, I was in a relationship for 6 years, right? That's a long time, and I waited 4.5 years to share that I was in a relationship, because also part of me felt like I was hiding something, right? The good parts, this, that. And I was like, I've been in a relationship, I want to share. My partner at the time was very comfortable being on camera, so occasionally, maybe like once a month or something, he'd show up in something. And so given that I'd been public about, again, the relationship and the good parts, and even through that, we would talk about some of the rough patches we'd had before. So it's not like it was like, oh, we are just lovebirds, right? I almost felt like a duty to share. I remember it was a very weird, disconcerting experience because when the breakup actually happened, the following day I had a show. And I really wanted to cancel because I was not in the frame of mind to perform. But my younger brother, who he's not very emotionally nurturing, but he's very available if you need him to be, right? So I'm like, I need you now. So he's like, I'm there. And he's just trying to comfort me and he doesn't know how to. And he's like, Didi, which means Akka, like, life must go on. You cannot cancel.
So cute.
Right?
That's so
So I was like, sure,
Wait,
fair.
how old is he?
Now he's 22, but at the time
Oh.
he was like 20, right? So
Oh, yeah.
he was like, I have just passed my teenage years. Here's my wisdom to offer you. And yeah, it was I think great piece of advice because I did the show and it was really hard, but I remember feeling love, right? Because when you're on stage, you're feeling a different kind of love, and I was like, wow, love exists everywhere. So it really helped me reframe that for myself. It was hard because I waited a couple months before sharing on the internet because I needed time to process, right? And everywhere I would go, people would always be like, hi, and then they'd be like, oh, how is Jiju, like brother-in-law, or how is this? And at the time, I didn't feel like sharing with it. And I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, this is after the breakup.
This is after the breakup, right? So for 2 months, I would go anywhere and people would be like, oh my God, y'all are couple goals, like cute, like whatever they would. And I had known that it had ended, right? So part of me felt this weird dissonance and I wanted to share. And the thing that got me through the breakup was watching videos of people who dealt with similar emotions or similar situations because I didn't feel as alone. Listening to music, right? And so for me, my coping mechanisms became writing music and listening to a lot of it. And I started video journaling. So the day after the breakup, I made a video, week after, 2 weeks after, 3 weeks after, 4 weeks after, etc. And what I decided to share on the internet eventually was what I'd filmed the day after. And it was I
so
knew
that video was shot the day after the
day
breakup.
after the
Oh,
breakup.
fuck.
I
Okay.
know. I even shared tiny snippets of 1 week, 2 weeks, but those are smaller. Now, what I shot was like 4 hours long because I was really just using catharsis,
venting,
and I
yeah.
shared a 8-9 minute version, and I could have edited it in a way where, honestly, I wasn't even in the mind space to edit it, so I had someone who would help me edit at the time, and I was like, however you think, because it'll be too emotional to watch the full thing back. But I was totally comfortable. Like I'm fully crying. I'm fully and I didn't say anything about my ex-partner. It was mostly about my emotions and how I was dealing with it, right? And the first 48 hours after, there were tens of thousands of people who sent DMs, emails, like you name it, sharing their own stories of grief or vulnerability or basically being like, this is exactly how I was, and I felt so alone because I didn't feel like this was a valid emotion, right? And then 48 hours later, this comment happens on the video, and then everybody jumps on these things, and I'm on every meme page, and it's people saying things like, they were calling me a roti hui randi, which means like a crying prostitute. They were saying, you've sucked white dick, now suck mine. It was a lot of that kind of energy, right? And that's really hard to deal with when you're already dealing with craziness. It also, to be very honest, I was very new to the creator world, right? I'd been in the creator space for like about a year and a half at that point. And because I was new to the world and I'd come from a very different lens, I was like, okay, the only way I'm going to penetrate this world is by making friends. I love making friends. That's the vibe. And it really burst my bubble and my rose-colored glasses came off because I was like, this is amazing. Everyone's so nice. Everyone gets to collaborate with each other. And that was not true because all these people who, were supportive on camera were not off camera. There were a few who were, but very few and far between. And I remember right after there were a couple events and I was going to these events and some of the biggest creators you can think of pulled me to the side. They were like, oh, so brave. I would never be able to do that. I also dealt with something similar, but like, good luck. And I was like, that's very nice of you to say. I appreciate that, right? But you see a woman is being torn down in specific
there's
ways.
no support.
There's no support. Public support, zero, right? Luckily, one of my friends kept me off Reddit, and I've been off Reddit for like 2 years because there is no way.
You've never been on Reddit? You've never like...
No, I did.
I don't, but...
Yeah, no,
if
I
you
did,
haven't-
and then I was like, my mental health is, Reddit is just not.
It's not kind.
It's not. I mean, it got to the degree where someone had sent it to me. I think well-intentioned. They were like,
those are the worst people.
So this person sent me a thread and she's like, "Hey, I've reported this, but I thought you should know." And I clicked on it and it was a thread, trigger warning. It was a thread of ways in which people wanted to rape me.
Oh my
Um,
god.
And I think it was taken down, whatever. But the fact that someone shared their emotions and vulnerability on the internet and that led to that reaction was crazy. Honestly, if I had and I had shared that it was it was a mutual decision, but it was taken by my ex-partner and I kind of shared that. I feel like if I had shared that I was the one to initiate it, I would have gotten even more hate. And I remember I released a song shortly after which is it's a song called Give Up. It was a very personal song. And there was a lot of commentary on that song where it was like, oh, this bitch has monetized her breakup by writing a song. Because again, this whole people think that you make millions of dollars from a video, which is not true for anybody watching
yeah.
at all. Um, and it was so funny because there was a lot of commentary, right? The thing is, all of the people who had made these reaction roast videos or these innocuous comments, they might be just doing it because that's their vibe. They're a comedian, they're this, they're that, and that's their job is to roast. But they don't realize the audience they attract with
Yeah.
that, right? It's a lot of people who are very frustrated with life, and this is their form of spewing hate. And what was frustrating to me was these like random 28-year-old men fighting with 14-year-old girls in my comments. I'm like, please get a life, right? Stop, for lack of a better word, making this community more just like you don't need to do that. And what was interesting was on this song, so many people were like, so you have no problem when Taylor Swift does it or when Ariana Grande does it, right? Artists write from their personal experiences. But you have a problem when it's someone who looks like you and someone you feel like you know. And that's part of the thing about the person persona thing, right? I think I've tried my best to be the same I am on camera, off camera, etc., which makes you approachable, which is cool because I don't want people to be like, oh my God, people to think you're a friend, but comes with its bad side too, right? Where they feel like they also have ownership over you to some degree.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did it because it was my form of catharsis. I knew that if somebody was going through something similar, it might help them in the ways that I had been helped by seeing other people. And I don't regret it, right?
If you go through it again, would you? If you
I've been ever since I've been more private about my dating life just because, just being protective of people and it's different at that time. My partner and I were together way before this all started. Now anybody I date, I'm in the public eye already and I want to be protective of them, right? Cuz I typically don't like dating in the entertainment space.
Yeah.
So I'm usually dating people who are not in the public eye. And there's a different world for someone to get used to, right? So I might at some point share, I might not. It depends on the partner's, comfortable, like how comfortable they are, and so we'll see. But yeah, I have no issues sharing my emotions. I mean, that's part of the cool part about being an artist is you can. So when I release songs, people get to see a snapshot of what's on my mind. Like I released a song recently, kind of about this whole when you are chasing ambition and dreams, right? Sometimes it's hard to also chase love and relationships because sometimes they're at odds with each other. And in general, like the best you can do is enough, right? And as more songs release, people will get to see that. They get a sneak peek into your mind and what's on it. But I think it's just a different approach now.
How did your parents feel about? Did they watch the video?
They watched the video. They were very protective naturally, but they didn't understand it. I think it was hard because
But they didn't. Did they see the worst of it? Did they see what you were going through exactly? Did
not
they know?
exactly. I
Okay.
kind of shielded them from that, right? Because you had to be on the internet to know, right? My mom wasn't on the internet. She wasn't on Instagram till a week before this happened. So unfortunately, her first experience of the internet was her joining and being like, "Oh, this is cool," and then seeing all of this hate spewed at her daughter, and she naturally got very protective. But her form of protectiveness came from questioning me and questioning my decisions. And at that time, that's not what I needed, right? I needed a safe space. And the problem was my parents naturally, from a place of protection, were not that. My brother was just too young to be that nurturing space. And the person who was that for me for many years was gone. I felt very alone. Like I mentioned, the creator space, my rose-colored glasses came off completely because it was just like, for example, some people came up to me who they were like, oh, people know we're close. We'd made several videos together. We're close people. And so they're all asking me for the goss. And I'm like, now I feel 0% comfortable telling you anything.
Oh my god.
Right? And again, not to say that there aren't. I do have some close friends in the space, but handful. Everybody else I now treat as a colleague. You know, just because I've realized kind of you have to navigate it in different ways. And fortunately, over the last couple of years, I think I've built so many beautiful friendships. I've always had friends outside of these spaces, of course, but I seek that out more. And yeah, it's just made me grow as a person. But I think my parents just have become wary, right? Naturally. And it was really, really hard. And it got to the point where naturally my mom would stumble across random things and then ask me questions. And I had to sit her down and explain to her. I was like, look, this is the person I am. This is what you know. This is the persona that people see. No matter how close I keep it to myself, they're only going to see a 2D representation. And if some random person, all they know about me is a picture of me crying, and they know that again, pardon they know that I sucked white dick, right? That's all the information that they've received. They're going to have an impression. And I don't blame them, right? And not everyone's going to have the nuance to go check out other videos. Some people do, right? And then those people understand. But the average person, like, haha, meme, oh, she's crying, like, whatever, right? The funniest thing to me was I have a song called Double Standards, and it's like there's a catchphrase, chal hut, which means fuck off, basically. And it's about, like, saying chal hut to all the stereotypes in society. So a lot of people were making videos being like, oh, her boyfriend said chal hut to her, but they were using the song. And it was like, you are inadvertently promoting this without realizing it. But thank you. I don't know, you know. So I had to sit them down, particularly my mom, and explain to her. I was like, this is what it is, right? And I think then she got it. She understood, and I was like, look, they're different. They are very similar, but they are different, and you have to treat them as differently. Because the more you grow in this space, you're gonna hear random gossip about your child from some random magazine, and you cannot believe it, right? You cannot believe what you see because there's so much more nuance that goes into it. So we've come a long way, and now they're at the place they are. But it was hard. It was hard, and it was hard that it bubbled up at a time where I personally needed people, because I felt truly I felt very, very alone at that time.
Damn.
Yeah.
Quite the journey. How do you when, like you said, right after this, right the day after the breakup was the show you did.
Yeah.
How do you, and because you're in the space where you're always in the public eye, it doesn't matter what's going on at home or what's going on in your head or heart or whatever, right? So how do you balance that when like things are fucked, still putting yourself out there?
I think it's definitely hard. That's why I feel grateful that it's a creative release, right? Because often, let's say I'm doing a show, I will put all my emotions into that. But I do feel that way when I'm at a coffee shop, right? I don't know if y'all feel this way, because maybe you're used to everyone in Kochi knowing each other, but sometimes I feel paranoid. Like, oh, this person likely knows who I am. Or sometimes people will just take photos randomly. Or, you know, it just comes with being in the public eye. And I think what I didn't realize until that moment was how many people know your face. Because you associate, okay, this is the number of followers I have, so this is the number of people who generally must know who I am. No.
It's probably like double that.
It's
triple that.
exponentially higher, because you have to look at how many views do you have. So people may not know you, but they might have seen your face somewhere. So it's like, oh, you know, I've seen this person somewhere. So I started becoming incredibly paranoid in a lot of different spaces. Now, of course, that's changed. I've grown thicker skin, and it's a different world. But I think it does, to me, the hardest part about this profession generally, right, all encompassing, is the emotional exhaustion that comes with it. Meaning, I feel a need to be on all the time. Even when I'm outside. And I'm not saying be on means like happy, right? Because on just means on and present. It is hard because sometimes if I know I've had a really shitty day, sometimes like my form of catharsis is crying. Like I know I just want to cry, but I catch myself trying not to just cry randomly in public places because someone may recognize, and then someone might make that association, or that's their first impression of you, right? So it is just an extra layer to think about. But honestly, because it's also important to me to show that we're all human.
Yeah.
You just exist, and you deal with it as it comes. It's
That's awesome.
I don't know if you feel that. Like, do you feel any differently, or?
No, I think I feel the same. Like
But
I feel like
I feel like you use a lot of like anger to like, and you channel anger more than tiredness or anything when it comes to work. When shit hits the fan, it's like, how do I? It's not even. I feel like you keep it aside and use whatever you're feeling at that moment. Usually that's anger to like propel you forward. I feel like it's
Usually that's actually.
Just makes you sound like a terrible person who's always angry.
No, but I think anger stems from frustration,
yeah.
right? It
Yeah.
sometimes also stems from exhaustion,
Yeah.
right? And everyone has different.
It's my therapy session now.
Yeah, it's
No, but I think it's at the end of the day, it's a creative release. Like I know,
absolutely.
like one thing I think about videos, like the videos I shoot is, like for example, as a kid, I was always scared of a lot of things. I'm scared of the dark. I'm scared of heights. I'm scared of snakes. I'm scared of so many things.
Hmm.
But like tomorrow, if you put me in a room with a snake, but I have a camera with me, I will probably be okay. Like I'll treat it as fun.
Yeah,
Or if I have to go, like I went skydiving last year, I would never go skydiving.
but it helps you take risks.
Yeah, but like because of the cameras, and it's not because I want views or anything. It's just that I
Yeah.
have this memory that fuck. I also want views, but I
Dude, he was the type of person where people would call him to go out while he was in school, and
Yeah.
he would lie to them saying that our mom didn't. let him get
Yeah.
out. And our mom would be like, "Yo, I never said that."
Yeah.
So he was very introverted. He was very like antisocial.
Hmm.
but when the camera is there, like even really fucked up shit is fine.
What do you think is different? Because I've noticed a lot of people who are more introverted in their personal life come alive in front of a camera. And what do you think it is about the camera that? Because people are going to see it. It's views and all of that, like you said, right? So
Mm.
I think it's also a bit of it is that it's work, right?
yeah,
You need to look at it as work.
of course.
Because, say, you're doing a normal 9 to 5 at a corporate, you can't not show up
Yeah.
because you're not feeling okay, right? You just have to do it.
Yeah.
Because it's paying the bills. So I think a bit of it stems from there, but I'm sure it's also for him because that's what I was saying, right? When I saw him do that video in 2019,
Yeah.
I was so happy because he finally found something he really liked, which is what I think pushes him to do those things that he doesn't like.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
But
but I
I
think
don't know.
it's
I
also
don't.
happiness.
The work angle, I feel like you could also sort of avoid things that you don't want to do at work, like parts of work that you don't really enjoy. You can avoid it to an extent, but he's proactive about it. That means it's something he really loves.
No,
to do.
so obviously
Yeah.
that's what I was saying, right? Like because he loves it so much, he does things he doesn't like also because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's adding to what he loves. But-
Do you ever see it as like a shift in persona? Like you're a different.
Yeah, it is a
Yeah.
shift in persona.
Mm.
Like without camera, I'm just Sharan. With camera, I'm Sharan Nair. Is what I feel.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ooh.
casteist.
Shut the fuck up, man! Not castist. That's not what I meant. Oh no! After this,
Don't
I'm sorry.
look at
This
Reddit.
podcast is not going to be about you anymore. Oh, fuck.
Don't
No,
look
but
at
it's like,
Reddit.
it's like being an actor, right? There's also a lot of artists who have stage names for a reason, like
Yeah,
Lady
yeah.
Gaga, right?
Yeah, yeah.
She's Lady. There's so many people who have that. I think it's a power. Like it feels really powerful to.
It
to
is a
have
power.
that.
Fuck! I mean, it's like for example, like there's this video which did really well. Like we went for a Tamil movie at like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my
Yeah.
Like I don't even understand Tamil properly, but we went for the movie because my friend is like, dude, the people are gonna go crazy there because it's a Vijay movie. People are gonna. So I
Which
wanted to
movie was it?
Leo.
Leo,
Not
yeah.
Leo. Leo? Yeah, Leo.
Yeah,
Leo.
Leo.
So I wanted to experience that.
Yeah.
So if a normal me without a camera, if I was doing some other job, I wouldn't go for a movie at 3 o'clock in the morning to see
Fair.
like in a very uncomfortable theater, people going nuts. Like you can't hear anything because people are screaming, and a language I don't know. But because a camera is there, I'm like, fuck, I want to capture this because I want to watch this 10 years later and see what I felt like in that moment. So
Absolutely.
it's for me, it's fun.
Which
and
is
like-
amazing.
Yeah, which,
It's a cool way to push yourself out of your comfort zone.
yeah.
And other people.
We're just
And
thinking about
other
all the
people.
comments.
Avanti, who's your least favorite Indian creator?
Oh.
My least favorite.
Yo, we were having a really wholesome podcast.
Yeah.
No, I want the attention to go away from me.
I don't really have a.
Samirena.
No. I wouldn't even
She's
say
like,
that.
he's a creator.
No, I
He's a
wouldn't even say
destroyer.
that. He's a destroyer. No. I don't have a least favorite. Like, I'm not saying it because I'm trying to be PC. I just,
Like if you don't like it, you don't give it attention. Is
yeah,
that?
basically.
So what's the one you gave attention to and then you're like, ah.
I really can't, like, I can't remember. But my least favorite are people who make a living out of just being misogynistic and like tearing
Andrew
people
Tate.
down. Yeah. Andrew Tate is my least favorite creator.
Least favorite Indian creator, Andrew Tate.
Indian?
Yeah.
At some point, he'll try to appeal to his Indian audience. So then,
Oof.
Okay, fair enough. Andrew Tate is a good Indian. Answer.
it's a general. If you believe everybody is Indian, then he is Indian. If you're going
guess-
from the ancestry route.
I guess we'll wrap up because Avanti has a flight in 1
I
hour.
do have a flight in. I have to leave in 5 minutes, but
Yeah.
this was really fun. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, that was a
This
lot
is
of fun,
really
dude.
fun,
Yeah.
yeah.
Also, I'm so sorry that y'all are just chilling there.
Oh.
Your podcast warrior.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming.
Of course.
We had a lot of fun.
Same. Yeah.
You guys want to say anything?
No, I mean, same. Like, it was a lot of.
It was
You're
alright.
the only one who had fun.
It was alright.
I was also very distracted by like the fruit salad you have going on. You have strawberries on your ears. You have pizza on your sauce. It's great. It's great.
Yeah, thanks for coming. I
Of
hope you
course.
visit Cochin more often.
Yeah, I would love to.
I hope I meet you on more shoots. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
we met by
we
the
met on a
way.
shoot.
We met first at a shoot by the way.
Duolingo.
Oh, yeah,
no?
Duolingo.
yeah.
Yeah. We were being chased by a man in a
It was a
giant
very
green costume.
strange shoot.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was
a-
very strange shoot.
Yeah?
The
Yeah.
Dilungo guy. I mean, the whatever the bird.
The mascot.
Yeah, the mascot. It's like very tough to get him inside.
Yeah, exactly. Every
Wait,
time
you
you
saw
went
that happen?
Yeah,
it's
we
very
saw it
tough.
happen
And
multiple
and they were
times.
very anal about you can't get this on video. You can't get this on video.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's,
It was interesting. And he was very sleep deprived because he had just come in.
Yeah.
And also the smallest creator there, so I was like, fuck.
I don't think that makes a difference. I had the best time. Honestly,
Yeah,
you were
because
one
you
of
weren't the smallest creator.
I didn't mean that's not what I mean.
Clearly.
I meant that
You're the biggest
I had,
creator there, no?
No, I don't think so. Whatever, however you
You're the
measure it
biggest
doesn't
creator.
matter. Exactly.
That's
I
not
was
what I
not
meant.
Sharan.
Ah.
I was Sharan Nair.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
holy shit, you should. Oh my god, that makes so much sense.
Dude, Dilungo
Yeah.
should
I
come
don't
on board.
speak, but I sing in different languages.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you guys.
Of course.
Please.
Thank you. Peace.
watch
Do you have
the
like
episode.
do you have an outro closing?
No,
I mean,
we don't. We just close with whatever the fuck we
Yeah.
come.
just vibe,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
subscribe, all that stuff.
Yeah, please
Yeah,
do
just
that. See you
bring
guys.
all the things. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.